ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the studio this evening. And this evening we're going to be painting a beautiful tulip. The paper that we're going to be using is going to be this. Oh, a large sheet of Fabriano hot pressed paper. I'll talk about that more later, I believe. I'm going to be using a couple of different brushes, daVinci Casaneao brushes and W&N Cotman brushes. I'm trying to use animal-free brushes, so these are the synthetic brushes that I have. I will also be using, I'm just going to show you my color card for it, my M-gram watercolor paints, and with that, let's look at the desktop. All right, here we are. This is the Fabriano paper. It's 11 by 14, a larger sheet of paper than I normally use. 25% cotton on this, and I have pre-drawn, whoa, there it is, my image on here. Let me just pull this up in the corner so you can see kind of what I'm going for. There it is. There's the tulip. I've pre-drawn this, done this by hand, and I want to start this by just putting some color on here. And I'm going to look at the lightest color that's on this tulip, which is a nice light yellow. I haven't cleaned my palette here. Maybe I should, but what I'm going to go for is just a coating of a light yellow here. I'm not at this point trying to get in between all of the petals here. I'm going over just to get one solid color over everything. And then we're going to come back on subsequent layers and add onto this. Now, in the past, I've said I'm not a big fan of hot pressed paper. Why am I using it? I'm using it because I have it. I don't like to be wasteful. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you where I got it, but I have it and I want to use it. And you can see the paper reacts to the paint just a little differently. It runs a lot more, and that's going to cause us a little problem, or could potentially cause us a little problem at some point. And now I've got the petals done here. I'm going to dip into a little cobalt green. Oh, let me show you what I'm doing over here. Paints, there you go. A little cobalt green right here, and I'm going to take a little bit of this yellow. This is Hansa yellow, just to lighten that up a little bit. And just like I painted over all of the petals on this tulip, I'm going to paint over all of the stem and leaves on here, trying to be a little bit careful. If I go outside the lines, well, the stem might get a little bigger in some places, the leaves might get a little bigger in some places, but that's really okay. The hard part is when you try to paint something that has a known shape. Try to paint somebody's face. Try to do a portrait and make something a little bigger than it would be in real life. Oh, that's hard. That's hard. Try to paint a cat or a dog that has not the right proportions in its muzzle. That's difficult. But a flower, you can fudge it a little bit here and there. And I'm just pulling this paint straight on down. And you can see this is a nice, light, vibrant color of green that we have on here. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I want to get some nice, light color of green on here. And then, just like we're going to do with the petals of the tulip at the top, we're going to go over this several times, so we're not going to worry about painting each element individually. There we go. Let's bring this down. So one of the things I don't like about this hot press paper, makes it a definite challenge, is that it seems to make a hard edge a lot more quickly than does a rough or a cold press paper. At least that's what I'm finding. Perhaps it's just the paper that I'm using is doing that, but it seems as though it really does that, and it's a little bothersome to me. Not that bad. We'll deal with it. But it's just one of those things to keep in mind. Really rinsing my brush up there. I'm going to set it down, and I've got to pause you for just a second so I can dry this off, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and now we can really start to add some life to this. Let me grab a brush here. This is the number 5 brush, and I'm going to mix up a little bit of an orange here. So I'm going to get a little bit of Pyrrole red and, I don't know, a little bit of Azo orange. Come on, Azo orange. Just mix a nice, beautiful orangey color, and I'm going to start over here. And now's when I have some lines drawn on here, but now's when I'm really going to determine the shape of the petals on this tulip. Something in there like that, and I want to put a little bit of color in the center of this, on the inside of this petal. And then I'm going to hope to draw it out just a little bit here. I am turning it just a little bit. I might need a little bit more color and a little bit more water in there. Keep that orange color looking so nice. As it comes down in here, it does get quite dark. All right, and we want it darker kind of in the center of these petals and lighter as it goes to the side. I don't want to be too much of a perfectionist about it, but something like that. We've got one petal kind of done here. Let's see if we can do another petal. I'm going to pick this one way back here in the back. I'm going to do the same thing with it. See, deep inside here, it gets a bit darker. And then as it goes out towards the edge, it gets a little lighter and a little lighter. It's easier on this one to make it darker at the bottom because my tabletop is tilted and everything wants to run down a little bit. It's a little harder to do it on this one where I'm trying to do it side to side. But we'll get it. We'll get it. It'll look fantastic when we're done. Just little bits at a time. Okay, there we go. That's the inside of that petal. So we got the inside of 2 of these petals done here. And you can see this one really did kind of, if we can focus in a little bit. Let me pull this down just a bit. You can see this one has really kind of spread out a little bit. And I'm not sure why we're not focusing. I'll keep my hands here. I don't know if that's been like that the whole time. And let's look at another one. Actually, I'm going to do this big one. I got to get a bigger brush. So let me go back to this number 8 brush here and get a bigger puddle of this orange. And if you're doing this and you get a little bit that's stays a little bit more yellow, and you get a little bit that stays a little bit more red, you know what that's called? Variegation and variation in nature. I'm not going to worry about it. I hope you don't worry about it. It's just one of those things that happens. Oh, look at just put this on like that right down the side. So nicely done. And this is going to be the bulk of the red on there, the deeper color. And then I'm going to tease it out before that edge can harden up and get a tide line in there. I'm going to tease it all the way out the rest of the way. A little extra bit of water on it. I don't know if you all can hear it. There's a lot of commotion going on outside. I can hear it in the studio, and I suspect you all can hear it on this recording. There's a lot of construction on my street, and it's making its way into my video. So thank you, whoever you are, whatever you're doing out there. All right, I'm just taking a quick glance at my reference photo to see where I want to keep a little bit more color, where I want it to be a little less color, and I think I'm going to stick with that. I'm just going to wick up a little bit of color right down here. And call that good. And now basically all my petals are touching a little bit. Actually, I might be able to do this. Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come back over and do my greens over here. And I just want to start with this same basic color, a little bit of this cobalt green. I'm going to mix in a little bit of phthalo green. And I have an olive green on my palette. It's going to make a little bit of a darker color of a green. And I'm going to just begin to put in some shadow areas with that. So this leaf is folded over a little bit right in here. And maybe all the way down. It stays dark all the way down here. So let's paint that in. Something like this is starting to look really nice. So I don't want to paint over the stem at this point because I want that stem to really stand out. So I've just painted to the stem and nothing more. There we go. And I'm just going to blend that all the way up. Just let it go all the way up there. Good, and now we've got a nice fold on this leaf. I'm going to put another one right up here, actually. Just a little one. Right up there. Just like that. Just to give it a little extra, just get a little extra oomph to that petal. Let's see, this one, I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to darken up a little bit more over here. And this leaf is kind of flipped the other way, I think. Seems like what it is in my world. So I'm going to darken it up on this side, and then I'm going to tease that all the way down. See if we can get that to come all the way down. There we go. And I'm going to vary my color a little bit in here because I want to go behind My new brush is not coming to a great point here. I want to go behind. There we go. I want to go behind the stem so that it stands out a little bit. Just paint right up to it. And behind the other leaf that's there, I'm just going to bring that all the way over. Gain a little color continuity, right? I don't want it just to be right here. I want it to be the whole way. And we've got a little bit of the stem down here too, so let's add a little bit of color to that. Just trying to add a layer here, a little bit there. Got a little bit on that side right there. That's going to make that stem pop all the way off. Just that little tiny bit. Got a little bit over here too. I don't want to forget about this guy. There you go. So obviously I'm painting this and I'm talking as I'm doing this. So any of you who are still with me, let me know, is this something you like, that I'm talking as I'm painting, or do you like when I do a voiceover later on? Is that better for you? Just let me know. Leave a comment down below. I'm not quite ready to come back and do live videos where you'll see me do this in real time quite yet. I still have a lot going on in the evenings. I can't quite break away to do that, but I think it won't be long and we'll probably be back to doing that, so just bear that in mind. But I used to do this a lot. I would just paint and talk. It does mean that typically I'm going to have a little bit of a longer video, but it also means that you're going to get my thoughts more right away, right? You're going to get more of my initial thoughts. What do I think about a painting as I'm doing it, rather than what I think about it hours or days or weeks later as I'm doing a voiceover on it. I just dropped a little bit of maroon in there. That's maroon paraline, just a little bit of it in there. Let's see, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a lot more orange over here. Let's see how this looks. A lot more orange. We can drop a little bit of red in there, but much more orange basically on this side. And I'm not pre-wetting the area that I'm putting my color into, and maybe I should be. Maybe I should be. But I'm not doing it right now, and I don't know, it seems to be going okay. I wouldn't say that it's fantastic, but I think it's okay. Just looking to see, I'm going to paint this big one back here, this big guy back in the back here. So let me drop a little color in here. There's a little bit of color, and this is a good time to think about the shape of your petals in front. Right, I'm painting the furthermost back petal. If I don't like the shape of anything in front, I can kind of fudge it a little bit by painting over some of the areas. And if I do like it, well, that's great. I'll just stay away from everything else. You get right in there. There's a little tiny point in there. There we go. All right. That's starting to look good. Starting to look like a tulip. Something like that, I think, would suffice for tulipdom. I'm actually gonna push my color back here a little bit. I'm gonna put a little bit of this pyrrole red. I don't want to get too into the maroon, so I'm gonna mix a little bit of that maroon with the pyrrole red, but I'm just gonna drop it in here to darken it up. It's pretty dark in there. Right, and let's see how that turns out when we're done. That's the inside. That should be the darkest part right in there. There. Something like that. Something like that. All right, and let's come over here. Paint this guy. Or girl, I don't know. Can I set my hand on that? I can set my hand on that. So I just want to make sure my colors, whoops, there we go, stay a little different from the colors next to it. I don't want them to be the same. Right, I want there to be a difference. I want when you look at this to just go, oh, okay, I got it. That's where one petal stops and that's where the next petal starts. I didn't want to do that. I just touched it. I was hoping to just leave, I got a little drop of water on my brush there, just leave a little bit of space in between the two. And I just touched it. Let's see if we can dry this and sop that up right there. Got it. There we go. So now we got a little bit of everything painted up there. Okay, it's a little messy, but we're going to come back and fix that up. While we're waiting for everything to dry up there, let's come back and paint some of our stem down here. Right, we know there's a bit of a shadow underneath here where it touches. I don't know, it's not about that much. About that much. Just blend that down a little bit. And I'm going to look at this and see, where do I need a little something else? And what do I need? I'm going to mix up a little bit of a different kind of a green over here. This is a cobalt blue with a little bit of Hansa yellow. And I'm just gonna nip a little bit of this with it. If I get close to these other colors, I want it just to be ever so slightly different from that. That's why I'm using the blue. I hope the blue is gonna make it just be that little bit different. Let's see, what else can we do here? I'm looking to see where, well, I can tell you, I need to darken this up down here. Let me grab a little bit bigger brush. This needs to be much darker down here. So I'm gonna mix my colors up here again. And I'm just gonna put another layer on here. To me, this looks like it needs to be much darker. Put it over there. Come up on that side. I really like how it's looking up here. Maybe this whole thing is turned just that little bit. Just a little bit of a turn on here. All right, so this whole side gets a little bit of this. There, and then I'm going to pull that out. I'm just going to tease this out ever so slightly. All right, with any luck, I hope I'm not painting off the board. I've done that before. With any luck, it's going to look like this comes and sits down here, just like it's in a bit of a shadow. Maybe there's a shadow coming from this petal, this leaf. I guess petals are up there, leaves are down here, right? Coming from that leaf onto here. I don't want a hard edge. I don't want a hard edge. Soften, soften, soften. Oftentimes with this paper that has such a high wood content, it's hard to soften that edge. It just is. And if you don't get it just right, you're going to get an area like I just got right here. I put a little bit of water on there to soften that edge, and the whole thing, shoo, just ran in. Not really good. You wouldn't get that on all cotton paper. The property of cotton just doesn't do that. But on this combo paper, 25% cotton, the rest of it wood, pulp. I guess if it were Hahnemühle, it would be what do they use? They use oh, come on, Michael. Bamboo, that's what they use. They use bamboo. So that would be interesting to see. I haven't used any of the Hahnemühle paper before, but this is not. And so we're going to do what we're going to do here. I need to put a little extra color. What I'm doing here is I'm putting a little extra color on here. I don't know if it really needs this much, but I want to put a little extra on here to make the stem stand out. That stem needs to really stand out. We need to see it in front of these leaves here. Something like that. And again, down here, I don't want that hard edge. Come on, come off of there. Oh, that's better. That's better. I like that much better. And I'm going to give that little bit up here again. Just that little bit. It's cupped a little bit here. Cupped just that little bit. And then I'm actually going to give it, I'm going to make this like super yellow. And on this other side, come on Hansa yellow. I'm going to make this a brighter yet green over here on this side. So I'm going to get away from the blues and just drop in some of this brighter yellow over here and help to fill this out. I think the value in the center here of this one was just too light, and it needed a little bit of something. So that little bit of yellow, I think, is going to really help it out. There we go. Oh, and I think these leaves down here, beautifully done. They got a lot of life to them, a lot of movement to them. So I'm going to set those and let those dry. I'm not going to do anything with them until the end. Oops, I am going to do something with them. I lied to you. Because we got this little piece right here that needs to have a little bit of color on it. There you go. Just like that little piece needed a little bit of color, this little piece needs a little bit of color. Oh, just like that. Wow, and this flower is starting to look really nice. Look, it's got some beautiful colors up here. We've got a little bit of work to do in a couple of places here, and that's fine. But it's starting to look so nice. I need to drop down to a little smaller brush. I actually think I'm going to drop down to, what is this? This is a number 6. Winsor Newton Cotman. I bought this Cotman set of brushes years ago, and I used them a couple of times. I went, yeah, they're okay, and never thought any more about them. But now that I'm trying to move to cruelty-free brushes. I'm experimenting again with some other things, and I think they do a decent job. So I'm gonna stick with them for a little while, along with my Casaneao brushes, and we'll see how they go. Just dropping just the tiniest bit of color in here. This is the back side of that petal. Ooh, this is where it starts to get exciting. Let's see. I'm gonna make this yellower in here. I gotta turn this again. This is the inside. Okay, so I just looked at this. Doesn't need to be yellow. I need to make this a bit darker than the surrounding, and then I can touch it with a little bit of yellow out here, something really light out there. There you go. And now you see it. Now it looks like it's cupped right around there. Really nice, really nice. I love how that turned out. And at this point, I've got one bit to do over here. I'm not going to do it quite yet because I've got a wet spot there, and it looks like there's a little bit of wet there. I've got some wet spots all over this. And that's okay. All right, let's see, I've got a number 4 brush here. I'm gonna come into my green, and I think I can do this. I think I can do it with this brush. Let's just find out. I'm gonna give it put a little shadow line on here. Coming out of there, and then I'm just going to really quickly touch that. So if there's a hard edge, it's okay, but I don't want a hard edge, if that makes any. I want a soft, hard edge. I want people to see that it's round here, round-ish, right? Even in here, in front of these leaves, you get a little bit of this. Now that there's a little bit of water on there, it's going to spread out a little bit. There we go. Now we've got a little bit of a shadow line on the stem, just smearing it even more. I don't want much. I want it to stand on its own. I don't want to get too much into there. But it needs a little bit of something. And well, we're pretty dry here. Let's see if we can do this. I'm going to mix up a little green. Here it's a dark color. I'm going to turn this on its side. And I'm going to draw just a few veins in here. They don't really have to be exactly where they should be. Right? That's part of the fun of it, is you put them in, and then the viewer's eye really does fill in all the details about where all of this should be. This side might be a little wet. I can come down from here, I think. a little bit. That might be a little fat. Let's pull some of that out. Right around the corner here, really lightly. And on down, you can see I'm just barely touching. I don't even know, you might not even be able to see these. If you can, that's great. If you can't, you'll see it in the picture at the end, or I can hold it up maybe. You see there's just barely some indications of some, excuse me, of some veining in there. And now I think I want to do that with this. Oh, I've got this one spot I need to fill in. That's going to bother me if I don't fill that in. So let's get a little bit of color in here. Just a little bit of color. And I don't know that we need to put any yellow on the outside of that. We've already got that yellow base. So we can work with that, let that work for us. There we go. Looks fantastic. And if we're going to be doing some lines on these tulips, then we need to know where the center of this is. And the center of this one is kind of right here. And we need to know how the lines go. Basically, all of the lines, all of the surrounding veins of this tulip, all work back towards this main line. And we can actually put in a lot of contour with this at this point by the way that we draw these lines. Right? If you draw a little bit of a swirl, a little bit of an arc, then it's going to project that that there's a curl to the leaf. So we can take advantage of that. And we're going to, and we will take advantage of that. So I just want to make this just a little darker so we know what it is. It's our center line there. And we can do some of that on this one over here. Let's see. This one curls down this way. They shouldn't be in a regular pattern. They should be in kind of a irregular way, just to break up the monotony of it, right? We don't want to hit our viewer over the head with what we're doing. We want to just show some indication that there's something there that they're gonna want to look at. And then let their eye dance around and see everything that we want them to see. Let me do a little bit back here. This one, I think, goes like that, right down the center. This one's cupped a little bit over here. Okay, so I've got a few lines drawn on there, not too many. And now I want to do a final look over of this to see if this is really what I want with it. And I think it looks pretty good. This looks a little too regular to me on this side. Right, I should have spaced those out a bit more. Maybe put something else in there. If I were to go back and redo this, I would probably do that just slightly differently. I'm going to darken this up. Gonna make more of a straight line here. Just a little touch up. Right? Add on some super darks if I really need them to really give a little bit of contrast. It is a little bit tougher to do contrast up here with the yellows and the reds, right? The contrast down here is a lot easier with the greens and blues and the darks anyways. But that's it. Okay, I'm gonna sign this one and I'm gonna call this one good. Let's see, I'll sign it over here. That's what I've got for you all today. I hope you enjoyed seeing me paint this beautiful tulip. I think I've got a couple more of these in me. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you back here in the studio next time. Thanks. Bye-bye. Community tab here on YouTube. I'm going to have some updates about what I have upcoming and when I'm going to be live and when I'm not going to be live. Also, I believe I've got there a link to Twitch where it's a very relaxed atmosphere and I sit down and I paint for an hour or so at a time. You can come in and ask me questions live if you can't make it to one of my live sessions here on YouTube. And other than that, thank you for joining me here in the studio this evening. I enjoyed painting with you. I hope you enjoyed the painting. We'll see you right here next time. Bye-bye.